something. First of all, it's not only a lame concept, but what they're trying to do is basically twofold. They're trying to smear everybody who is angry with the government as anything negative they can think about. Losers, loonies, fringies, nutcases, radicals, fanatics, and now they're using racists. They're trying to basically get you to shut up by screaming bad names at everybody who dares to speak out. And it's not going to work because they're addressing the majority of America right now. Look at the poll numbers. Barack Obama's approval numbers are down in the Al-Qaeda. You can't get up there and scream everybody opposed to the government is some kind of a fruit bat when you're talking about 60 to 70% of the general population. It's just going to make the people angry. And of course, what this protest on Saturday really showed, because if you look at the photos, forget the newspaper and the pundits and the corporate media saying it's all Republicans and it's all white racists and it's all this. Look at the photos. There were people of all races in there. Read the posters and banners. All the issues were being covered, liberal as well as conservative. This was America coming together, united as one American people. And that's what's got the government so scared. Because they have, for the last 50, 60 years, ruled this country by keeping us split up into little groups, sneering at each other. White against the black, rich against the poor, young against the old, men against the women. And as long as they could do that, as long as they could play divide and conquer, then the American people would never unite against the real problem in our lives, which is the federal government. But that's all gone. The American people have grown up. They understand the government lies. They understand the government plays dirty tricks. They understand the government intentionally plants agents provocateurs to pit us one against the other. It's on the same moral level as a child who puts two bugs in a jar and shakes it up to make them fight each other. That's how our government controls the people. But we know it now, and we're not going to fall for it anymore. We won't be fooled again, to just go from the old song there. And that was what the message that was really sent on Saturday. That the American people as a whole, as a united, we are one population, are angry with the government. We're tired of government intrusiveness. We're tired of government control. We're tired of incredible volumes of taxation that is spent on everything in the world except the taxpayers. And we're fed up and we've had it. And that's what happened on Saturday. And that's why the government is trying as hard as they can to pretend that, the protesters are a minority and there's a silent majority out there. Okay, have them show up 1 million strong in Washington, D.C. and have them standing around chanting, raise our taxes, raise our taxes. You're not going to get it. It's not going to happen. It just absolutely will not happen. Now, turning back to the economy here. Ron Paul's bill to audit the Federal Reserve is now veto-proof. They have 290 members of the House of Representatives are on board supporting the bill. It is going to get passed. I don't know what the circumstance in the Senate is right now, but the bill is moving forward. Now, the Federal Reserve has implied that if anybody tries to audit them and find out just how much wealth has been taken from the American people and given to these private bankers over the last almost 100 years, that they will crash the economy. And my opinion for that is, go ahead. It's crashing anyway. And if the economy crashes after these the implied threats that the Federal Reserve would do it in response to an audit, we'll know that the crash was intentional. And you know something? The Federal Reserve will fall. It'll drag the government down with it, and we'll set up a new government where the government issues the currency, which was the way it was supposed to be from day one. So the Federal Reserve can talk tough, but the reality is it's a darned if you do and darned if you don't situation. If the Fed is audited, the scandal is going to destroy them. If they crash the economy, that too will destroy them. The Federal Reserve is coming to an end one way or the other. We're going to go to the phones. We've got Jeff in Texas. Aloha, Jeff. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I want to get your take on an apparent generation gap between the elite, the Bilderbergers, CFR, the people who would push Jimmy Carter out into the limelight to make his ill-informed statements as he has in the past 24, 48 hours. It doesn't seem like they're replenishing their ranks with anybody of the Gen X or even late 60s generations. If you look at this
Well, that's a shame because I need a job.
Well, it looks like this guy on Fox, Greg Gutfield on Fox News, the latest guy to weigh in on the Charlie Sheen issue. Complete mental midget, can't articulate, can't debate. It just seems like they're unable to replace their aging ranks, and I think that's a big opportunity for us.
Well, I would agree with you, and I've been saying all along for years now, the biggest advantage that we have in our favor is that the people still running the U.S. government as propaganda ministry are a bunch of old Cold War fossils who are convinced that the tricks that used to work in the 1950s and 1960s will work again if they just spend enough money on it. And we just heard today they're getting ready to launch a new multi-hundred-million-dollar project to set up their own websites to promote the fact that we should be afraid of Al-Qaeda and run clinging to the government. And it's not going to work in a free and open internet because people are now much more self-directed in their quest for information. And that is the fundamental change of the internet. And that is not going to go back we're not going to go back to the 1950s of total passive acceptance of what's coming out of the TV. Those days are gone forever. And the fact that people in our government don't seem to get that, even the Bilderbergers don't seem to really understand how fundamentally the flow of information has changed within our society. And again, it gives the advantage to us. I mean, right now, as of the last survey, only 29% of America trusts the corporate media. The majority of Americans are getting their political news from blogs and alternative radio. We have taken over. We are the new mainstream. We're the high ground in the war for the minds of America and the world. Yes, they still have the big budget advertisers and they've got all the money to play with, but you know something? We're proving right now, having big production budgets and a lot of fancy toys doesn't get you the audience. All right, we got to take a break. Thank you for the call, Jeff. Please call in again, and we'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
GCN Radio Network, providing the world with hard-hitting talk radio. GCN, great talk radio starts here.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. And what is going on here with all this stuff, whether it's the wars or swine flu or healthcare reform or all of this stuff? The federal government is desperate to find something they can be doing which the American people will accept as a reason to continue the federal government's existence, to justify the heavy tax money going into there and obedience to their authority. And they don't have anything. With the fall of the Soviet Union, the big bad enemy went away. And they've been trying to prop themselves up with a war on drugs and a war on poverty and a war on carbon dioxide and a war on terror and a war on whatever else they're going to make war on. But more and more Americans, and this was, the message coming out of Washington, D.C.'s protest last Saturday, more and more Americans are saying, why do we even need this particular federal government? It is absorbing vast amounts of wealth from the American people to shower on the favored cronies in Wall Street, Washington, D.C., and Tel Aviv. What are they actually doing for us? They're not taking care of the roads. That's done by the city and state governments. They're not taking care of education of the young. That's also done by our local governments. What is the federal government doing besides making us the most hated people around the world? And so the government is trying to say, well, we're going to take care of the swine flu for you, and we're going to protect you from the Iranians, and we're going to do all these other really good things. And you just have to do what we say, and we'll save you from all that stuff. And more Americans are saying none of those issues are a problem. None of them would be a problem. There wouldn't even be a war on terror if our government wasn't propping up Israel in their aggressions against the Palestinians. It's all a hoax. Our government creates one crisis after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. War after war after war after war, because that is where it gets its power and authority over the people. And the people are beginning to understand that's the game that's being played. Now, this healthcare reform situation, the polls are showing public opposition is reaching new highs. 55% right now, 42% support the plan, but that number's going down. And it's going down rapidly. Meanwhile, we're hearing that FIRMA, the lobbying arm of the pharmaceutical industry, is getting ready to crank up $150 million in advertising campaigns to support the president's health care bill. Obviously, if they're willing to put that kind of money into supporting the health plan, it's because they're going to make more profit out of it. Well, if the pharmaceutical industries are going to be making more profit out of it, it means that ultimately, one way or the other, more money is going to be taken out of your pocket to